Pretty solid buy-in for Mike Vrabel. I'd say since day one, but they did have that hiccup right out of the chutes against the Raiders. That said, just the Warriors chant, and he referenced this later on in postgame, what he's done with Will Campbell this year, his, Friday weather previews or whatever they are.
Yeah, apparently he's a real cut-up.
He's done a pretty good job of, relating to the players, getting the most out of the players, but I also think there is an edge there. You see the comment from Milton Williams, Keefe?
Oh, yeah.
Where he's like,
love Big Milt.
Look, no curfew. Be on the bus by 8. If you're not on the bus by 8, going back to, leaving Denver to come back to New England, you're not playing in the Super Bowl. Fair enough. I think he walks a pretty good line. As a modern-day coach in 2026, I think he walks a pretty good line of relating to them, getting the most out of them by relating to them, but also, he's not their friend. He's their boss, and I think he does a pretty good job of walking that line.
Yeah, pretty great modern-day coach, right, where he can sort of combine the two. And we sort of jokingly were saying when he first got hired, he's kind of like Belichick and Mayo combined, right? Trying to find the strengths and then eliminate some of the weaknesses, and kind of combining the two where he can be a little bit of a hard ass. He's got that sarcasm, which Drake May even joked about. He's like, I don't even know if I can.
Drake May's like,
I don't even understand it all the time.
I don't even get it.
So, but he also is a former player and a very successful former player. And it doesn't mean you have to be a former player to be a good coach. I mean, Bill Belichick wasn't, Sean McVay wasn't. But I don't know, that does sort of, I think a lot of players do like it. In the NBA, they certainly do. They even talk about it. They'll flat out say it.
Well, it's just easier.
In the NFL,
easier to respect. I mean, it just is.
And when the guy asks you to do something or when he tells you something, it's like, all right, he is coming from a place of true experience. So they like it. And I think we could tell early on. I know they started the year 1-2, but early on, then they started to pile up some wins. And even really before that, maybe after beating Buffalo was when they got everybody's attention. And that was early in the season. And then we started to hear guys like Drake May and Steph Diggs echoing what Vrabel had said. And so you're like, oh, wow, these guys are all pretty much on the same page early on, right? One of the great ones, and you could still apply it to some of the stuff being said about this team right now, is some things are interesting, other things are important, right? So if you're like, hey, you're the first team to go 9-0 on the road, he's like, well, that's interesting. The Super Bowl's not a road. You know what I mean? So there's all these different things that they keep becoming the first to do, or the first since Brady was here, and all this stuff along the lines. But the coaches and the players all kind of have the same message as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, and I think the Warriors stuff, maybe you think it's corny or whatever, but that isn't just being able to relate to players. That was a rallying cry. Yeah. That's hey, I love it. We're 9-0 on the road, or if we win this game, we'll be 9-0 on the road, and we're the first team in the history of the league to do that. Other teams won 10 or 9 games, but they also lost. We didn't lose any. We can do something nobody else has done, and he found a creative way to turn that into a rallying cry. Not just, hey, guys, no one else has ever done this, but a rallying cry, which you saw the team getting into, the breakdown in the locker room after the game. He's doing it there at the podium. I mean, Mac Hollins, for God's sakes, is showing up in full-blown costume to the game.
Every day's Halloween.
Every day is Halloween, but this one was part of the rallying cry.
I liked it, though. Look good.
I think he does a pretty good job of, sort of creating action out of that, which is what he's been really good at. Mm-hmm. Never mind, he's just an excellent coach.
Yeah.
And he's a coach who understands the situation and rose to the occasion. I think Sean Payton's most egregious mistake yesterday, beyond just not even seeming to notice that it was a different game with the snow out there, was that decision to go for it on 4th down, which I do think Keefe on some level lost him the game.
That's why he's a backup.
Yeah, but I mean the fact that on their second drive the Broncos went down the field and scored a touchdown, that was pretty shocking, right? Not that I predicted a shutout by the Patriots, but it was just the way they did it, the way they moved down the field, and you were like, the first series, you're like, wow, Stidham is clearly got some nerves, as he should. He had a bad throw on one. You're like, oh, they're going to gobble this guy up. And then they score a touchdown.
Even on that second series, they were 3rd and 10, and he had a couple of rough throws. So you're like, he doesn't have it. And then, boom, 52 yards to Mims. Boom, touchdown, wide open to Sutton in the end zone. And you're like, oh, boy.
But one full quarter into the game, you're like, the Broncos offense looks better than the Patriots offense.
It did.
And you're like, this isn't great. And the Patriots had the ball 3 times. They did nothing with it. And the Broncos had a chance to go up 10-0, and they elected to go for it on 4th down. And just in real time, that one felt like a stupid decision because you have this awesome defense and you have a backup quarterback. So if you can have 2 scoring drives out of whatever it was, the first 3 or 4 drives, it's a lot of confidence for them, and they should be feeling pretty good about it. And now you put it onto your defense, which is the strength of your team. And he's like, no, let's go for it on the 14. So also, there's no guarantee you score a touchdown on the drive, even if you score.
No,
but whatever.
The Pats proved that. The Pats went for 4th down. They did the tush push. They still had to settle for a field goal on that drive. So there's no guarantee you get the 7. But
and then the play call was even worse. Actually, no, the decision was worse than
the play call was bad.
But the play call was really bad because you boot Stidham out. There's 2 guys, they don't block it. So there's 2 guys in his face, including Milton Williams. And then there's 2 guys on the receiver who also wasn't even at the first down line. He was short of the first down, but it hit Craig Woodson in the chest anyway. So you're like, that was your play call? Of all the things you could have had there, that one had no chance.
Well, Pats were ready for it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And they broke through the line. So you just said it was their 4th drive. So Denver starts with a 3 and out. They score on their 2nd drive. Big play to Mims. Touchdown to Sutton.
Yeah.
Pats wind up giving the ball back after a deep shot to Keyshawn Boutte. Surtain was awesome yesterday, by the way.
I mean, he's just glue. He's just on receivers, doesn't commit any penalties.
There were
right there.
I don't think they went at him much. There were a couple of times they went at him, and he was all over.
How did you view that
Keyshawn
one? Because
Boutte both times.
On the one hand, I was like, what are you doing throwing it to him on 3rd and 12? But then I'm like, well, last week you went right at Stingley and you had a big catch. So I'm like, I wasn't sure how to feel about that. But because the offense wasn't moving the ball at all, I was like, I don't know if you really want to take your chances at that guy.
Yeah, it felt like in the first half they were getting frustrated that they weren't doing anything. Yeah. And so that felt more like whether it was the play call, play design, or May just saying, what the hell, I'm hucking it up there.
Yeah.
I didn't love it, but obviously that play's complete. I would have felt way different.
He also got away with a pick.
On the first drive?
Yeah, first drive.
The very first drive should have been Hufanga had a pick lined up. You're right. I forgot about that. Yeah. So anyway, the Pats give it back to them. The Broncos go 7 plays, 22 yards, so they're moving it again.
Right.
And the only reason the Pats stopped him, Keefe, is because Sutton dropped a pass that was thrown a little behind him.
Should have caught it, though. I think he's a good receiver. That's when you got to catch.
So Gonzo got beat again on that play.
He did.
And Sutton dropped it. That was 3rd and 9. Pats get the ball back, 3 and out. They get sacked on 2nd down. It's 3rd and long. They can't convert. So now the Broncos have the ball in their first drive of the second quarter, late first quarter into the second quarter. They go 11 plays, 43 yards in 6:32. They're eating up clock.
Chewing clock.
They're moving the ball, and they decide to go for it on that 4th down. And I'm with you. A lot of times a 4th and 1 to me is a go for it. 4th and 5 shouldn't be. I think McVay was a moron last night, and I love Sean McVay, and I think he's arguably the best coach in football. We said earlier, if I could take a coach ahead of Vrabel, McVay would be the guy.
Yeah.
But to me, even with Matt Stafford, a 4th and 5 when you can take points with 5 minutes left, you should probably take those points. 4th and 1, I think a lot of times is a go-for-it situation, not with a backup, and not when you're already up 7-0 and you can make it 10-0, a 2-score game, a double-digit lead midway through the second quarter at home in a game where you were a massive underdog with your backup. That, to me, didn't make any sense. It'd be way different if it was Bo Nix. Or the Patriots,
you
for
could
instance.
run it with Nix, or you could run it with May, or you give him the run-pass option or whatever, and you feel like you can get him. Bo Nix has had so many of those types of plays.
I wouldn't have questioned that. And maybe they wouldn't have picked it up, but I wouldn't have questioned that decision. Just like I didn't question the decision for the Pats to go for it in the second half. I questioned the play call. I didn't like the tush push with Milton Williams and Tonga, and I hate when they run the tush push.
That was weird.
May's pretty good at running on his own. He doesn't need to get pushed. Yeah. So I hated the play call, but I had no problem with the Patriots going for it on 4th and short in the second half because you have your quarterback. He's arguably the MVP.
Yeah.
Doing that with Stidham at home with a chance to make it a 10-point game, and the weather hadn't kicked in yet. I mean, who knows if the kid was going to make the field goal or not for them, but the weather hadn't kicked in yet. I think that was a borderline gimme field goal.
Yeah.
I think that was a really, really big mistake by Sean Payton yesterday. I think it cost him the game.
I agree. And, in real time, it felt like it was a dumb decision. And then, obviously, looking back on it, the final score is 10-7. So, it was an even worse decision than you would have even thought in the moment. And it was one of those ones where give your offense some confidence by getting 2 scoring possessions out of their first 4. And then you can also rely on your defense because to that point had not allowed anything. The defense was rolling right now. So 10 points would have felt like a commanding lead, but he tried to get cute, thought he could pick up the first down, couldn't, and then the very next possession they have the ball, Stidham tries to do too much with it, and then that's what leads to the fumble, which should have been a return to the house, but it wasn't. The refs were all kind of confused by that play, but that all happened very quick, and it was like Broncos seemed like they had control of the game, and then 2 possessions later, they did not.
Well, speaking of that fumble, which, again, I put in air quotes, I'm not sure it was actually a fumble.
It was a weird play.
Very strange play. This is Mike Vrabel after the game, discussing some of the big plays that his defense made to ultimately get his team back into the game. The defense has been excellent all postseason long. Again, here's Vrabel on some big plays by the defense.
Mike, your view of 2 critical plays, the 4th and 1 play when they were up 7-0, and also Christian Ellis backwards pass. And it seemed like you guys were all over both plays.
Yeah, and Ellis continues to make plays. We talk about it just takes one play. And whether that's Marcus Jones last week, Christian Ellis, which it would have been a touchdown. You know what I mean? They blew it way too late, blew the whistle, and I guess the call. But for print purposes, just put the whistle in there. See what I did there? And then, the 4th just being, just coming up huge stops, and then our ability to get the little bit of yards that we needed in critical situations.
Okay. So I think he wasn't thrilled with the refs blowing that play dead and not giving him the touchdown.
That one was so confusing.
I'd stay away from complaining about the refs on that play, quite frankly. You should have had a touchdown, but I'm not even sure you deserved the ball in the first place.
But Stidham should get penalized, though, for having a stupid decision like that. Because
Yes.
he kind of pushed it, and it did sort of seem maybe like it was sideways.
Horrible decision by Stidham. That's totally fair. Yeah.
But it was it should have been one or the other, right? It's either an incomplete pass or, I guess intentional grounding, whatever. But incomplete pass, intentional grounding, or it's a return to the house touchdown. And the refs are like, it's neither of those things. It's just Patriots ball going this way.
And
you're like, what?
You said this earlier. I didn't think it was a gimme they were even going to score there, the Pats. So that
at that
felt
point
like
in the game, you couldn't have felt great about it. You're like, you needed the defensive score. It felt like how I thought both Houston and Denver were kind of going into the game thinking we kind of have to score on defense if we have a chance here.
Yeah.
And thankfully Drake May used his legs and was able to run right into the end zone.
They punched it in. Booty 6 yards out, and then the play you just mentioned, the Drake May rushing touchdown again with his legs yesterday. Text line 617-779-7937. Why is it so hard for you guys at WEEI to say Drake May had a bad game? I think he had a bad game as a passer. I think we've been saying that.
Did.
I think he hasn't had a great postseason. We've said that all day long, too. I'd give him a C+, B- for the postseason. Maybe you think that's too charitable. But I think you have to factor in all the plays he made with his legs yesterday. And that doesn't let him off the hook for not throwing he was 10 out of 21. He didn't even crack 100 yards passing.
No. Passing-wise, it's one of the worst games I think we've ever seen from him.
But then who made all the big plays on offense? It was him. So I don't know. I don't know how you square those away. I would separate him. I'd say Drake May as a passer was poor. But I'd say he made enough plays for the Patriots to win, and he's a big reason why his legs are a big reason why they're in the Super Bowl.
Also, we were wondering, all right, is he going to be able to clean up his turnovers? And the guy had fumbled 6 times in the first 2 playoff games. Didn't fumble at all, didn't throw a pick. Now, he didn't throw the ball a ton, but still in those conditions, you just never knew. The guy on the other side, I know he's a backup, but he had a pick. Probably could have easily had another one. He had a fumble. So Drake May at least didn't turn the ball over. Now,
as you said, he tried to on the first drive. He really did try to, yeah.
But it didn't happen. He had some good some good runs. But nobody's gonna say it was his best game. But he's on to the Super Bowl. So he would trade a 300-yard 3-touchdown game and a loss for this.
So I think he has to play better in the Super Bowl to beat a team like Seattle.
Definitely.
I think, although I was feeling that way against Denver this week, and he went out and played worse, and they're still advancing.
As much as I think the Patriots defense is great, it deserves a ton of credit. I think you have to factor in the weather these last couple of games as sort of aiding them a little bit. Now, both defenses got to play in the same weather, but I just think as far as really holding a team down, that helps. Now you're going to go play in San Francisco. It's going to be climate controlled, a little bit different. I think there's a great chance that the Seahawks, even if the Patriots defense plays well, are going to score more points than any of these 3 teams have scored. Certainly more than Denver and the Chargers, but probably more than Houston too.
You got to get in the 20s. And I'd say probably
yeah.
maybe even the mid to high 20s is what you
Yeah,
got to
that's
get.
fair,
because
we said teens for these last 3 games because we were like, defense is good, Patriots on offense should be able to score. Thought if they got to 17, they would win all these games. Now I don't feel that way about Seattle.
617-779-7937. More of your phone calls coming up. We'll get to the haters and, Patriots fans about to take over another Super Bowl, which the rest of the country can't possibly be thrilled about. Plus, we'll get into Steph Diggs' emotions on full display yesterday. We'll explain next.